I've been playing Minecraft since the times before survival mode existed, and yet, despite all that time playing the game, I personally feel like I have a whole lot of room for improvement when it comes to building. I'm not the worst builder, but I'm not satisfied with where I'm at either. And one of my biggest struggles is using a wider variety of blocks in order to build more interesting and creative builds. So in an attempt to improve my building skills, I have created the Random Block Build Challenge. Basically, I use a random block generator to give me a random Minecraft block that I have to incorporate into my build in some way. And no, I can't just hide one of the block where it can't be seen and build whatever I feel like around it. It has to be a real part of the build. There will be 3 builds in this video. The first build has to include only one randomized block. The second build will have to incorporate 2 different randomized blocks at the same time. And the third round, you guessed it, we'll have 3 different randomized blocks all in the same build. Now that you know how this challenge works, let's get into the first round of the Random Block Build Challenge. Just a little heads up, my microphone quality changes constantly throughout this video, and it's not the best sometimes, so I apologize in advance. Whoa, would you look at that? I'm using my VTuber model this time, which I didn't do in the first video for this challenge. Now you can see me be a bit more expressive when I get my random block, which we will randomize now. Cinnabar bricks! Oh my gosh, right away we are getting one of the new blocks. Heck yeah. So Cinnabar bricks is one of the newest blocks in the latest update. Kinda lucky that we got that one first for today, huh? Well, I'm sure eager to get started on this then. Let's see what we can do with it. So when I look at Cinnabar bricks, the first thing I think of is dragon scales, given the texture and the color. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be building a classic kind of dragon. You know the kind of dragon I'm talking about. Everybody knows the classic kind of dragon with the red scales and the yellow bits and all that. Throughout this time lapse, you'll probably notice that I struggle a bit with the legs. It's kind of difficult to do organic shapes like that, especially when you're working at this sort of scale where it's not especially large, but also not especially small. But I think I managed pretty okay. It just took me a few tries. As you can probably tell, I wanted to build the dragon in a sort of very action-oriented pose. You know, something fierce, something that just screams dragon body language. I mean, you know, dragons aren't real, so I guess we wouldn't know their body language, but imagining if a dragon was real, this is how I think it would act when it's kind of on guard. Anyways, along with the cinnabar, you can see that I'm also going with sulfur blocks. You can tell I'm very excited to work with the new blocks from this latest update. Plus, they just work so well together. And with their powers combined, I think I have managed to make a really awesome dragon. Okay, so I went with something a little different here, as you can see. In the previous video, I did structures, just only structures. This is a creature, and I spent probably 3 hours on this one, and it's only the first build. Heavy contrast to that first build. I think the hardest part for me was probably the wings, and oh, dang it, I messed up that. And the reason why the wings were so difficult was not just because of the angles and of course the organic shapes, but it's also because I think Flashback, the mod that I use to record my time lapses, yeah, I think it caused a little bit of an error. Some of these blocks just weren't rendering properly, and I could not tell what blocks were even there. And so because of that, it was difficult to tell what was placed where. Heck, look at me right now, I'm still fixing errors because of that. It mostly affected the wings. The rest of the body was just fine. Just the wings were struggling. But you know, I don't think I did too bad on this one. It was definitely a challenge to work with more organic shapes and, you know, make a creature instead of a building. Fire is always a struggle for me, but I think we got it looking good. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what we've got here. Maybe I went a bit overboard for the first one, but we'll see how that looks compared to the next two. Okay, so I'll be real with you guys. I already recorded this clip, but things went horribly wrong. But I want to keep the pizzazz, so we're going to roll again. Even though I technically already rolled, because again, I messed up. So, in the spirit of keeping the pizzazz, I shall randomize our next random Minecraft block, which is waxed exposed cut copper slab. That is very specific, but I'm sure there's something we can do with it, especially if our next random block works well with it, which our next random block will be copper chest. Wow. 2 copper objects. This one isn't even like oxidized or anything, unlike the other one though. I mean, they're both copper. We can definitely do something with this. They're both copper. See, that's how you know there are too many copper items in the game, is when you get 2 copper items in a row in the random block generator. But anywho, onto the build. So right away, I'm using World Edit here, which is a first for me. Normally, I don't like using World Edit while I time-lapse because it just doesn't look that good, but I'm too lazy to dig out the hole that I needed. And what do I need a big hole for? I don't know, some sort of shrine, I think? Copper is just one of those block types that don't really inspire me all that much, so it's difficult for me to think of what to use it for, especially when one of the blocks is a copper chest, specifically. Normally, whenever anybody uses a chest in the build, is for some sort of survival mode build, but this is creative mode, so I had no idea how to incorporate a chest into this, other than to make it as the centerpiece for some sort of shrine that is holding a treasure. So that's what I'm building. Some sort of temple shrine thing. But I didn't think that was creative enough, so I added this other centerpiece here, this kind of like giant rock that acts like a chandelier of sorts, but it's like very magical as well. I was kind of inspired by the Death Mountain meteorite in Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. But even something as whimsical as that was not enough to make me satisfied with this build. So I went to the outside and made it so that it exists in some sort of environment rather than in seclusion. Or, well, I guess it can be secluded within the environment, but I don't know the right word right now, I'm sorry. I may or may not be eating cheese cubes in between these voice clips, and it's very distracting. Anybody a fan of Colby Jack cheese? Comment down below if you're a fan of Colby Jack cheese. Whoa, wait, we got way off topic there. I am so sorry, everybody. That's okay, though. I don't really have much to say about what's going on in the time-lapse right now, other than just I'm adding details. Any detail I can think of to make this place look ancient and ruinous and like it holds some sort of ancient, awesome treasure. And you know what? I think I fit that vibe pretty well. Well, I think it's obvious I kind of lost inspiration with this one, or rather, I never had it to begin with. It's true that our 2 blocks that we were tasked with working with are very similar in color palette, you know, they're both copper, but what is a chest? How do I work with that? I was never really too big of a fan of using copper in builds, so it was already difficult enough to figure out something to use this for. But the chest, at the end of the day, I was only really able to use my 2 blocks for the centerpiece here. I mean, it's still a very focal part of the build, as you can tell, because, you know, it's the centerpiece. But it was such a struggle to even think of this. And do I even know what the heck this even is? Vaguely. Some sort of shrine, I suppose? With special treasure inside? I don't know, some sort of place that Indiana Jones might go to. I wouldn't know. I haven't watched a single Indiana Jones movie. Feel free to laugh it up. I've just always been more of an animated movie kind of person. Oh no. So overall, I'm not the most proud of this second build, but maybe I'll bring it back in the 3rd round. Oh no, in the 3rd round. And now it's time for our 3rd and final round of building, wherein we need to randomize 3 different blocks. And we're gonna have to use every single one of them. So let's just get our first one right now, which will be Bubble coral fan. Oh, goodness gracious. We're gonna have to be very clever with that one because if you don't place water next to it, it will die. And that's a completely different block. So already we're getting a little bit of a challenge here, and then we're only at our first block. So let's just get our second, which will be copper spleeves? The heck are spleeves? I'm sorry, they're a joke block. How did that make it in here? They're from an April Fool's update? How did they make it into this random block generator? Okay, I'm gonna need to fix that. Reroll. Our second block is azalea leaves. Okay, that's a real block. We can work with it. We've got 2 plants so far. That's not too shabby. Hopefully we'll continue with that trend of having plants because that'll make this a whole lot easier. Imagine we get like the third block being something as far away from being a plant as possible. Oh no. But cross your fingers because our third block is copper golems. No! I used one of those in the last. You gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me. Well, at least this last one was slightly weathered, but still. You've got to be kidding me. I guess it doesn't work like that, Oh, what am I supposed to do? Well, fortunately, you don't have to be here for the entire time I have to try and think of something to do with this. All you gotta do is watch the time lapse. Okay, so the copper golem statue kind of threw a wrench in any plans I had with the first 2 blocks, but I think I found a way to work around it, or rather, work with it. Our third and final build for this video is a greenhouse. You may notice this, especially if you're a gardener yourself, but people who make gardens and greenhouses, they tend to have garden gnomes and such, which we don't have garden gnomes in Minecraft, but copper golems are pretty close. And those who don't have garden gnomes typically have some sort of other type of statue in their gardens, and that's what we'll be using the copper golems for. But that doesn't come just yet. First, we gotta start with the planters. And inside of those planters, we are using the coral fans that we're supposed to use to act as a sort of flower instead of the fan of coral that it is. That's a technique I picked up from Good Times with Scars Season 9 Hermitcraft base. And to add some flower variety, I'm not just using the bubble coral fans that we're meant to use, but I am also using every other coral fan type as well. In order to keep these corals alive, I have to place them on top of mud bricks that are waterlogged with water, otherwise they won't survive. Mud brick slabs are just the closest slab block I could think of that can be waterlogged to looking like soil, which is exactly what we need here. Now, full disclosure, I've never actually been inside of a greenhouse. This is just my best guess as to what it looks like from looking at exterior images on Google Images. Best reference I had for this was the Plants vs. Zombies greenhouse. And I haven't seen that in ages. Haven't played that in ages. At least that's the best reference I had from memory. While I did look up references on Google Images for the exterior of a greenhouse, I somehow failed to look up any greenhouse interiors. Top 10 ADHD-induced memory issues moments. Whatever. I think what I did looks just fine. Whether or not it looks accurate to a real greenhouse, even if it doesn't look like a real greenhouse, it's at least got whimsy. Or I think it does. But back on topic, you might notice that when it came to placing in the stone bricks on the floor and placing the glass, I did use quite a bit of world edit. That's another case where I got lazy. I can have a little bit of world edit as a treat. And in return, you get the treat of looking at a really awesome greenhouse. That would have been the perfect transition line to viewing the final product, but whoops, it's a little too soon for that, because I'm still working on it, as you can see. But it won't be long after these last few higher up details to really complete the look of the interior. I want you to look at this place and feel the fresh air in your lungs just by laying your eyes upon it. Plants, they're good for you. And you know what else is good? The finished build of the greenhouse. And wow. This is a pretty large greenhouse, huh? It's got such a relaxing atmosphere in here. I love it. I don't think I've ever actually tried to build a greenhouse before. I've built a sort of garden before, but not a greenhouse. And I love what I did. I even remembered to add little details like gardening tools on a rack. I usually don't remember details like that. I think this build was great practice for both exterior and interior at the same time, because the interior is also kind of an exterior. It's an interior with exterior vibes, and I love that. I tried my best to use all sorts of different plants. Obviously, I left some of them out, but what plants I did use, I tried to color match them as best as I could. Some of them are a little iffy when it comes to that, but there's only so much you can do with Minecraft's limitations. And I think I worked with it well. Take that, copper golem statues. Didn't defeat me today. You know, I had a lot of fun doing this challenge again. It's always interesting to challenge myself by using blocks that I wouldn't normally use in any of my builds. It's like I can feel myself becoming a better builder slowly but surely every time I do this challenge. So hey, to all you viewers out there, why not do this yourself? Randomize a block to build with and tell me in the comments what you got and what you built because of it. I'd love to hear if anybody else is having as much fun with this as I am. And while you're here, hey, that means you got through the whole video, right? Unless you skipped ahead, which I hope you didn't. But if you've gotten this far, why not consider subscribing? I'll probably do more of this in the future, along with all the other Minecraft stuff that I do. And it's because of all the rest of that stuff that it might take me a while to get back to this again. That and these random block build videos take a while to produce. But regardless, I hope you'll stick around for the next one. Bye for now.